Welcome to another exciting episode of the Gospel of Photography. My name is still Seun Akisomi and I'm still your faithful host. Remember, we still have different segments of this show: photo news, personality of the week. Interestingly, we're having an exciting personality today, and also question and answers. For those of us that are watching, they have actually sent in their questions. We'll do our best as much as possible. If we've not replied your email, to actually answer the questions on air. So it promises to be exciting today. Whatever you do, make sure you do not leave your seat for any reason at all. Okay? Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kikele Makolesho. Keep watching the Gospel of Photography.
Welcome back. We're actually dedicating this episode to the newcomers, in quotes. And that is actually those that are either considering just coming into the industry or those that have actually just started. Okay? Most of the challenges a lot of newcomers actually have is in really finding out what they actually need to start. And that is what we'll attempt to actually address today. And the first question perhaps I should be asking you, remember you guys have been the ones sending in the question, but maybe I should ask you, and this is the same question I ask people that come to me and tell me they want to be a professional photographer. The first question perhaps you should have to answer is, who is a professional photographer? And why actually do you want to be one? My own definition of a professional photographer is somebody who makes over 80% of his living with photography. That means as a result of you being in any sector of the photography industry, whether you are taking pictures, whether you are printing pictures, over 80% of your income is coming from photography. Actually makes you, in my own opinion, a professional photographer. And using that word professional is actually very heavy, because a lot of us practicing out there in the industry in Africa, we're actually, perhaps we might not be able to confidently say we are professionals. Maybe some of us might be pro. A lot of us have not even finished spelling that word professional. We are still maybe PROF, or some maybe just PR. But the truth is, it takes a lot, because our ultimate goal on this show is actually to get photography to the same pedestal as medicine and law. So first of all, you really need to understand what photography as a profession is. Second of all, you need to know the reason why you are doing this. For many people, they have asked this and they tell me, I'm just passionate about taking pictures. It's actually way more than that. It's not just being passionate. The truth is, if you actually ask yourself, why am I going into this? Am I able to manage a photography business? Most of us actually don't know how to manage a business. And that's why I tell people, you are coming into the industry does not mean you have to actually run your own business. When people come to me and want to be trained as photographers, I emphasize to them the importance of not being too quick to say, wow, I want to register my business name. Not a lot of us might probably be successful at managing the business. Some of us will probably be better off working for someone. Some will probably be better off having this photography on the side. The important thing is actually to understand yourself and be very true to yourself, because this industry is one that can actually gulp a lot of your money. And if you don't have a business mindset, if you don't have an entrepreneurial mindset, you probably might discover too late, perhaps 2 to 5 years too late, that you've actually wasted money. Money that if you had left in the bank and perhaps fixed deposit it, you could have at least earned a good income, at least a better income compared to having bought some of these expensive gadgets. So it's important to understand what a professional photographer is, better yet, who he is, and then understand your reason why you're coming into the industry. Once you're able to put this in clear perspective, Perhaps you should then realize how many years maybe you want to do this. Okay? Let's take a short break now and hear maybe a word or two from some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
The advice I have for those that are coming to the industry is, first, you have to have a passion for what you want to do. Without passion, you can't go far. It's that passion that keeps you going, even when you encounter difficulties. Then your consistency, your dedication, your drive, then you have to be able to think out of the box. They call photographers crazy people because they do some weird things. So I think that should be, there's no fear in it. Just start, and once you start, before you know it, you go far.
If I would like to advise people coming into photography, I would say the first thing you should learn is how to take good pictures. If you take good pictures, you would go a long way. There are a lot of photographers, young photographers that take really good pictures that are really keeping even the so-called ogas on their feet. Another thing I would say you should do is learn the business side of photography, because at the end of the day, that is what really keeps you into the business. It's not just about taking pictures, even though I said it is good to learn how to take pictures, but you should also learn the business side, because that's what would keep you into the business. That's what would make you know what you're doing from your A to your Z, how to charge your clients. Then the most important thing, which has also kept me going on, is believing in God, believing in yourself. Believe in yourself, then believe in God. God has always been the most important part of my own business.
My advice to anyone planning to go into the photography industry, regardless of where you are, is to first research. Research on what exactly it is that you want to do. What aspect of photography do you want to go into? Is it portrait photography? Is it event photography? Know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Then learn. Find someone to learn from. You understand? Find someone to learn from. You do not need to go and meet any photographer in particular, but that is a good idea though. You can check photographers out online. Most photographers have blogs. Some that don't have blogs have YouTube videos, you understand? So find someone to mentor you, or find someone to be a protege of. Now, when you are a protege of someone, you kind of follow how they do their assignments. That will help you as well. Know your costs. Know what it will cost you to get into photography. You understand? Although I would advise you to start with the smallest equipment you can get, unless you have someone to finance you, which is a good idea as well. I will advise whosoever wants to go into photography as well to practice. Nothing beats practice, regardless of whatever it is that you have read and you're feeling like, oh, you know aperture, you know shutter speed, you know how they work, but what about the application? You have to practice, and the more you fail, the better it is for you to improve. So when you practice and you fail today, pick up the camera again tomorrow, hit the road, try out things. If you don't have ideas on what to shoot, go online, Google creative photography ideas, or practical photography ideas that I can shoot in my house, in the studio, outdoor, and that gives you good leverage. So basically, know the field you're going into, research, know the niche that you want to prosper in, and ultimately, when you know whatever it is that you want to do, you have to specialize. Now, you may have more than one specialization. It's not a thing. Most of the photographers that I follow all around the world, like Joe McNally, Chase Jarvis, Scott Kelby, they have more than one specialization, from documentary to commercial photography to environmental portraiture. You can specialize. Your specialization may be more than one. Whatever your specialization is, you need to know more about it, because the more you know about an aspect of photography, or the more you specialize in one aspect of photography, the more the opportunity of you making a good source of living from that aspect or that niche of photography.
Welcome back. Remember, each time you miss an episode of the Gospel of Photography, or even after watching this, you could always still go to our YouTube channel and watch everything again. So back to the discussion we were talking about before the break, starting out in photography. After asking the relevant question, and this is where a lot of people miss it, we don't ask a relevant question, but after you've asked the important question, the thing is to have a plan. First of all, in asking the right questions, perhaps we should discuss some of the wrong questions to be asking. I've met a few people that have asked me, so Mr. Sheon, how much studio space do I need? Do I need to buy this camera, or do I need to buy this gadget or this printer? Do I need to travel to America to study photography before I can become a professional photographer? These are actually genuine questions, and most of the time, by the time I'm answering them, I usually tell a lot of people you're actually starting out with the wrong questions. So maybe the right question is more like, why do I want to do this? How many years do I see myself doing this? Because if it's something that you feel, okay, I probably don't see myself doing it for more than 1 year, the question you should ask yourself, is it worthwhile to invest hundreds of thousands of naira, or in your case, it might be thousands of dollars into this profession? So it's important we ask the right question. I recently had somebody ask me, Mr. Sheon, I just got this studio space, 10 feet by 13 feet. Is it okay to start out with? And I told him, look, that's the wrong question you're asking. The type of photography you want to do is not as common as what it used to be a few years ago. There are many people that have started this studio photography, and if you don't get counsel from them, you are likely to make the same mistakes. Okay, in my own opinion, if you've decided that you want to be a professional photographer, and the truth be told, you might not actually get the support of your family or colleagues. In my own case, the fact that I was not supported was actually an encouraging factor, because perhaps if they had given me their encouragement, I would not have been motivated as much as if they had told me I can't do it. But then again, that's my own personality. But one best way to actually make me do something is to challenge me and tell me that I can't do it. If you decided this is what you want to do, it's important you decide the amount of years you really sense you are going to be in this industry. The longer the amount of years, the more you have to actually sit down and plan accordingly. So whatever you do as a parent, make sure you actually believe in your child. It will actually be in your own best interest in the long run. Or what would you prefer? Having a child do something that he's not going to enjoy for 20 years, and even though he's making money, not be fulfilled, or having him do something that he's passionate about, even if it's a new industry, but at the end of the day, even if the money is not coming out, fulfillment will actually still be there. Okay, so this is a shout out to all parents. Please have faith, have more faith in us. Eventually we'll make you proud. At this junction, let's take a short break and we'll be right back with our personality of the week.
I studied chemistry education in the university, and I ended up being a professional photographer. There was just no seamless flow. But I would say the education part of the course I did in school helped me now, because now I teach. And some of the courses we did under education were educational psychology, educational foundation. Those things help me now when I teach photography. I discovered photography in my third year in the university, because along the line, while growing up, I disliked photography with a very strong passion. Though my father used to buy digital, disposable cameras for us, but I didn't like pictures, because most of the time, pictures they take from me when I was young were usually ugly. And my mom would always complain, like, "Kike, what's wrong with you?" I would either squint because they would put us in the sun, or passport photograph, my head looked big and I look ugly, so I never liked pictures. But my third year in university, I saw some picture somewhere that was edited. Even though now those pictures I cannot really value them now, But for me, it was like I'd never seen anything before in my entire life. I just knew at that point that that was it. Eventually, God directed me to Ile Photo Studios where I did my training. I was supposed to do training for 6 months, but I was there for about 16 months. And it went beyond photography. I learned business of photography. I learned customer service. I learned relationships with other people. It was just a whole experience that goes beyond just coming to take a skill and leave. And I left there not just as a photographer but as a complete human being. I specialize in children, maternity and family photography. And why did I specialize in that? I woke up one day and realized that I did not want to be like any other photographer. I did not want to be called that's Kike, the photographer. I wanted to be known as Kike, the photographer. That my name would be written in the sands of time. I just wanted to be different. So I went to God and asked, what exactly should I do in photography? Where in photography will I make an impact? And He told me children, and that was just it. So I decided to start pursuing it. I was reading up on it, taking pictures here and there of children. I was always reading up, though I was doing every other thing then, but I kept taking pictures of children the little bit I could, gathering information, and I was improving every day. I was always sending something new and something different. And then I realized that before I would take a child, I would rather want to tell a complete story, which starts with the maternity, the pregnant stage of the mother. So I decided to include maternity pictures. I started taking pregnant women as well, and then I realized that it just goes beyond that. There's a complete family. It goes from the mother to the child and to the father. So I just don't want to take pictures. I want to document family bonds. I want to promote family bonds, especially in Nigeria. So I just eventually now ended up merging it together as children, maternity and family photography. The worst experience I think I have had in this photography was when I went to do a job for someone for free, no charges, and then I could not find the card. Up until this moment, never found the card. I do not have a logical explanation of how the card was missing. But the mistake I did was I did not copy the pictures right on the spot when I got back from taking the pictures. So the client who has already been always patronizing me before, but now I decided to take a free picture, just could not understand why Kike could not deliver the pictures. I didn't have an explanation to make. I tried to work around it, but I just could not because I did not have a single picture, no evidence of that birthday party, and it was gone. And if I felt bad, I almost lost the customer, but thank God for excellent customer service, for keeping good relationship with customers. So even though they were angry and they did not like the situation, but because they have known and trusted me for a long while, they understood. So I have learned a very big lesson from that. From every time I take a picture, the first thing is to copy my picture and keep my cards safe. Even if I've copied my pictures, keep my cards safe and then have the pictures backed up and never have a repeat of that. My father was not in agreement with photography at the initial stage. He asked me one day, I said, "Kike, when will you be done in school? I want you to work in a bank." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, I do not want to work in a bank." And he turned and said, "So what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to have my own photography studio." And he looked at me like, "What? That's nonsense. You are without consulting me before deciding on that. You are just stubborn. He just said all sorts." But at that point, I knew he was a photographer and I was never going to go back, except God speaks to me himself. I wasn't going to go back. So he said, "Well, that's your decision. That's your business." And he was angry, and I continued my photography training there. And a few months down the line, I came home with the camera one day from a job I went to do while training. So he saw me taking pictures at home. Out of curiosity, he just said, "So how much do they sell these cameras?" And I said, "Well, probably about 150 minimum." Then I said, "Okay, probably I will get you one." Though he never lived to get me one, but I'm sure that very one day that he saw me take that picture, I'm sure there was a little bit of excitement or joy in him, or I really can't explain, but for him to say he wanted to have a camera, there was something he must have seen that day when I took that picture. The Kike I have become now is a far contrast to the Kike I used to be while growing up. My mother never believed in me, in anything I do. I never even really attempted anything in front of her because sometimes I come home with low grades. I could be shy and timid. Simple things I wouldn't want to talk. I wouldn't be in front. I don't want people to see me. I don't want to hold the microphone. I don't want to do that. And my mom would always get angry at everything I do. And she would always say, even though I was the first child, that she didn't see me doing well in life, and that she was sure that I was going to sell pepper in my life, and that my siblings were going to be better than me, especially my immediate younger sister. I usually feel bad. I always felt bad. I never for once liked that. But along the line that I discovered photography, just like a new me just emerged. Like, it just took long for the caterpillar to become a butterfly. That's just the way I would say my life was. Because if my mother should see me now, if she were alive, she would think she was Jimmy, or she would probably think I'm somebody else's child. For anybody that wants to come into photography industry, the first thing I would say to you is be sure that photography is what you want to do. Because in the middle of it, you might have things that will provoke questions in you, saying, are you sure this is what you want to do? So because you are sure from the onset, it will keep you going even when things don't look like they should. After you're being sure of what you want to do, then I suggest you get knowledge, proper knowledge, adequate knowledge. Take time to acquire this knowledge. It's not a come and do a 2-month course here or 3 weeks course, crash course. Take knowledge and apply for internship. Even if it's a 2-week course, a 5-day course, ensure that you do internship. Hold on to a photographer by their tail and don't let go till you are sure that you have gotten enough knowledge, and you can never even get enough. So every time you wake up, there's always a new thing to learn. So ensure that you get adequate knowledge. Hold a photographer by the tail. Have a photography mentor who you would always run back to in the future if you have any issue. And then read books, as many books as you can get. E-books, hard copies. Read as many books as you can get. You can never read too much. Thank you.
My name is Richard Bamdileko. Keep watching the Gospel of Photography.
At this juncture, we'll actually answer 1 or 2 questions that some of our viewers have sent in. And the first one is actually from a gentleman from Ikeja asking me, Mr. Sheon, how much do you think I need to start a photography business? That is a very good question. And my answer to that is 1,000 Naira. Yes, you heard me right. 1,000 Naira. And what will you use this 1,000 Naira for? Is to buy these 2 books that I recommend to all my students. The first one is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the second one is You Can Negotiate Anything. You see, when I started back in those days, I realized we were actually not taught in schools how to relate with people, and this will ultimately affect us in our businesses, in our companies where we work. So if you really want to be grounded as a photographer, I mean, guess what? At the end of the day, it's people that will actually sign the checks. I personally think it's important you read these books, and they are not expensive, before you actually buy a gadget. If you feel you need to buy a gadget, go ahead. But until you read these books, you're actually shortchanging yourself. In talking about the second book, You Can Negotiate Anything, most of us actually don't know how to negotiate. I mean, even regardless of the university that you went to, a lot of us have not mastered the art of negotiation. And these are issues that you face with clients as a business owner, as a professional photographer. So if you can be grounded in that, the technical side of photography, in my own opinion, is quite easy. So 1,000 Naira, in my own opinion, is what you need to get started. The second question is actually from a lady that I met a few weeks ago, and she eventually sent this to her email, and she was asking, Mr. Sheon, must I be registered on all this social media before I can succeed as a photographer? And the answer is, it actually depends on how successful you want to become. And this is why I say that. I know the amount of money I've made as a result of registering my business on Facebook, for example. Imagine if my business is not made visible. Imagine if my business is not visible to the thousands of viewers, the thousands of potential clients that are beyond my immediate reach. In fact, if I'm to tell you how much money I've made as a result of registering with these social medias, I can actually tell you. Come closer. It's so much money. I'm sure you heard what, but don't tell anyone. No. I'm sure you heard what I said. But it's important you actually understand how far do I really want to get to. If every photographer that is out there is registered with Instagram, for example, who are you to say that you don't need Instagram? If everyone is registered with Facebook, who are you to feel that you don't need it? So it will actually be in your own best interest if you sign up for at least the main social media platforms out there. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter. Every photographer, in my own opinion, should be on at least 4 platforms. We have Google+, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you are not on it, you're actually missing out big time. Talking about Instagram, our Instagram page of the week is actually another photographer that I admire so much. The guy is actually relatively new in the industry. When I say relatively new, he's not up to 5 years in the industry, and his pictures are wow. He specializes in wedding photography, and his name is Jide Odukoya. Oh, check out his page and let us know what you think. I personally think his pictures are awesome, and if I had to do my wedding all over again, I just hope I can afford a Jide Odukoya. That's it for our episode. For today's The Gospel of Photography, stay tuned, same time, same day, same station, as we bring to you another exciting episode. Next week's edition promises to be exciting. Whatever you do not miss it. Remember to also send us whatever questions that you might have so that we could at least compile it and be able to answer it during our next edition. I'm still Shenwa Kisomi, and I'm still your faithful host. Keep taking those pictures.